Hey everybody, it's Miss Cole, and I know I just did a book talk, but I'm gonna do another one because I'm really, really enjoying the book that I got from Interlibrary Loan. I think this is the first Bell Hooks book that I've read, and I knew that she wrote about social justice issues, race, feminism, those kinds of things, but I didn't know that she wrote about teaching. I'm gonna have to buy it because I find myself wanting to write in the margins like a lot. So I'm just gonna read a couple of places. I'm like this. Can you see where my marker is? I'm like this far in. No, that's where I started wanting to mark the place. So I'm like this far in. So I'm a little bit in. I'm on page 20, out of, and it's not real long, page 20 out of like 200. So the first section is the will to learn the world as classroom. Page 2. Page 2 is where I started wanting to like underline things. This was one I just wanted to remember, not really respond to, because it's her own observation in memory. As a girl, I had initially believed white teachers who told me we did not read Black authors because they had not written any books or any good books. As a language arts teacher, yikes, very much yikes. So she's, also discussing the expansion of the canon. She quotes, I'm sorry about this name, Gayatri Spivak, and she says, Gayatri Spivak brilliantly challenged the notions that only citizens of this nation can know and understand the importance of the traditional canon. Spivak contends that she, quote, must speak from within the debate over the teaching of canon. We must make room for the coordinated teaching of the new entries into the canon. When I bring this up, I hear stories of how undergraduates have told their teachers that a whole semester of Shakespeare or Milton or Chaucer changed their lives. And I'm like, with her, she also says, I don't doubt these stories. And I'm like, that's true. And I agree, and I don't doubt those stories either. But what about other students? First of all, that ain't all of them. I can guarantee you that is not all of them. And what about other students who might have had their lives changed by Maya Angelou or Toni Morrison or James Baldwin or any of Gabriel Garcia Marquez? So many authors who are now part of the canon, and the canon should be not consistently, but constantly changing and being revised and examined and explored and questioned. And that has value. That's one of the challenges of teaching, is saying, okay, we're going to focus on this, not that. It's one of my first blog posts is, educational triage. We can't teach all the books. We can't. It's not possible. And I think the canon has to change. Towards the end of the first chapter or section, she talks about 9/11 and how it was framed as America versus, the world, the Middle East. And she points out that, it happened in New York City, which is an incredibly diverse city. And not all of the victims of the attack were American or white, but that's how it's consistently framed. She focuses on the media and says, if mass media had chosen to focus on the incredible national and religious diversity of the victims of 9/11, including the many Muslims who were killed, it would have been impossible to create the sentimental narrative of us against them. And she's talking about like something that happened more than 20 years ago now, but it just, right now, it seems so timely. Not specifically like that, but the divisiveness of us against them. That just seems really timely right now and just really hit me in terms of what I'm going through as a teacher and what I'm seeing in the communities around me. So section 2 is classrooms without boundaries. Time out. She talks about how emotionally and psychologically draining teaching is, even when it's wonderful. And she talks about the need to take a break, which, many teachers have in the form of summers away from teaching. Even if you have to work a second or third job, it's often not the same work. And so the change is helpful. But she also says, even if all college teachers had the opportunity to take unpaid leave whenever they desired, the vast majority do not have the economic means to negatively exploit this opportunity. I would argue that maybe it was different back in the early 2000s. I think this was published in 2005. The majority of college teachers don't have the economic means to take advantage of this opportunity and use it effectively. A lot of college teachers are, financially struggling. I mean, we think of college professors as like, highly paid. They're not. Mm-mm, they're not. And one of the things I like, she quotes Parker Palmer in a book called The Courage to Teach, which I'm going to have to check. And she says, Parker Palmer explains that continuing to work at any vocation, but particularly teaching, when we are no longer positively engaged, does violence to the self. That's bell hooks. And then she quotes Parker Palmer and says, in the sense that it violates my integrity and identity. And then, still quoting Parker Palmer, when I violate myself, I invariably end up violating the people that I work with. How many teachers inflict their own pain on their students, the pain that comes from doing what never was or no longer is their true work? And I think about the amount of work that currently, because of the pandemic and the social unrest that has caused, the economic challenges that are faced by our students and their families, dealing with all of that on top of all of the challenges of teaching itself. It's like, it's so much more than it has been. It's different. It's also valuable. We're struggling through this together, and that helps to build relationships, but it's hard. It's really hard. But one of the things I like is then she kind of bookends the chapter with another quote from Palmer, and she talks about doing a different kind of teaching, like workshops and things like that. And she says, Bell Hooks says, I understand fully Palmer's assertion. I am a teacher at heart. And there are moments in the classroom when I can hardly hold the joy. And man, that, like, seriously, it's doing it again. It brings tears to my eyes. And I'm just like, that, yes, that. I was talking with my students the other day about how the use of figurative language is an attempt to be playful and creative and explore concepts that we have words for, but the words don't give the sense of the concept. So you play with other words and other ways of expressing these ideas because, we have words for, well, joy and especially other emotions, which is why poetry is often very emotional, because we're dealing with these ideas that are hard to express just with words. And yet, ironically, we're using words to do it. We have words for joy and rage and terror and despair and excitement and elation. But those words alone don't do justice to the experience. And that is the work of a creator. Anyway, so I just wanted to share this. It's called Teaching Community by Bell Hooks. And I don't even know if I'm going to finish my way through the book because it's going to be so hard to try to get through this this is not my book, without writing all the heck over it. So I may have to order it if I can't find it in a local bookstore around here. Anyway, thanks so much for listening to me blather. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I would love if you would share with me what you were reading or what you, based on some of the things I've shared, what you think I should try out down in the comments. I'm a sucker for comments. Anyway, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Bye.